is Lou Dort, and I'm down to dunk. This is Lou Dort, and I'm down to Dort.
I'm Josh Giddey, and I'm down to dunk.
Hey, this is Kenny Hustle, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Darius Baisley, and I'm down to dunk.
I'm Mike Muscala, and I'm down to dunk.
This is Poku, and I'm down to dunk.
I love cereal. Captain Crunch, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, Cracklin Oat Bran.
Oh, I can have these. I'm going to share with my team, but I'm going to hog most of them.
Welcome to Down to Dunk. I'm your host, Andrew Schleich. We're part of the Athletic Podcast Network. With me, it's like we're getting back on the horse again, doing podcasts on Mondays. It's McKelly Bear. McKelly, what's up?
Hey, it has been a crazy couple of weeks. Sundays, Tuesdays.
Tuesday? What's that? It's disgusting.
Seems wrong.
Seems wrong. 1 week from today is media day for the Thunder. Everything opens back up. We get to talk to players. I believe we'll talk to Sam sometime this week as well. So Thunder basketball is just about here, guys. It's going to get exciting. We have preseason basketball happening in Tulsa, nonetheless. So our Tulsa people can get a taste of some Thunder action without having to drive all the way to OKC. So that's pretty cool.
No Steve Ballmer audio right now, just to pump up the media and the fans.
Let's do it. Here we go.
Yeah, let's do one.
Just fired up to be here today.
Oh, that's cool.
Pretty cool. Pretty damn cool. Woo!
We're back.
Oh yeah.
It really is exciting. I know that there's like the bummer of like Chet Holmgren not playing, but there's a lot of exciting things to think about with this team. I wanted to ask everybody this question this week and maybe help form some of my questions that I'm going to have for players on Monday. But what are you most excited about? Or like, what do you want to learn from preseason, training camp, stuff like that? Like, what are you most excited for when it comes to Thunder basketball, McKelly?
Wow. I mean, there's so many things that we can be excited about. I think that I would go with the role of Trey Mann. I know that I'm beating the drums here a little bit on Trey Mann. I'm really curious. I was very curious before Summer League. It wasn't like it was a good one. He had like a couple of good games, but it was a little bit underwhelming. And so I'm really curious to see what is his spot in the rotations. I think that we will see some of the ideas of Mark Daigneault in terms of rotations and minutes in preseason, not probably set in stones because, it wasn't for the entire season. So I'm very curious. Of course, I am extremely curious to see who starts. I think that is something that we're all extremely curious about, especially if one of the starters is one of the two rookies, Jang or J-Dub. I think that their role in the rotation, especially in terms of positioning, with Trey Mann, for me, is how much. I know what kind of basketball he will play. Yeah. He can play on and off. He will be a shooting decoy when he's not on ball, or he can be a creator. So we know that. With Jang and J-Dub, I am extremely curious to see what they are going to do. In terms of, hey, they will play the 3, the 4, the 2.5. Like they can basically be whatever. And so I'm very curious to see where Daigneault will go with their minutes. Because it's like I'm very curious to see if J-Dub can hold at the 4 position in terms of defense.
I know. I remember hearing about him playing the 4 after he was drafted, and I was like, huh? What are you talking about playing the 4? It's because it's a point guard for his college team. And it was like a point guard only his whole life.
Yeah.
Like, it's just crazy to think that he could play so many different positions, and he did in Summer League.
Yeah.
They put him in different positions now sustainably. To me, like the 4 is just like spot minutes, or it's like specific weird lineups.
Mm-hmm.
But he's pretty strong already, and he's a little bit older than some of these really young guys as well. I was talking to somebody today about Josh Giddey, It's like, well, Josh Giddey, the people are like, oh, Josh Giddey's got to prove some stuff. Like, does Josh Giddey have to prove some stuff? He's 19 years old. You know, like what other 19-year-old in the world? They're like, man, well, this guy's got a lot to prove. It's like, no, he's a teenager still. You know, there's a lot going on with him, and I think Thunder fans and people that follow the Thunder want him to take a leap, but by no means is this year like career defining for Josh Giddey, because I mean he'll be 20 this season. He's younger than Chet, so in what way could it? I don't think it's career defining for him. This is just like what kind of growth can we see from him in this normal NBA offseason? I think is a really interesting thing, just because we haven't had a normal NBA offseason in a long time. I don't think Darius Bazley has had a normal NBA offseason since he's been in the league, and he's about to end his first contract.
Yeah.
So I think there's a lot of important things that can still be done with this team, even without Chet, and a lot of things to cover. But yeah, I think Trey Mann is a really interesting one. You know, these guys, and Sam Presti talked about it at his end of season press conference, where he addressed that like guys are going to get left behind if they don't work.
Yeah.
You know, and so like, what if Aaron Wiggins outworks Bazley or outworks whoever? You know, it's possible.
Yeah. It can happen to anybody.
Yeah.
And so I don't think that it will impact Shea, Dort, and Giddey, because they have proved multiple times that they will get minutes this season, and deservedly so. So I think that the last thing on this one, and we discussed it many times, this year, preseason probably not to huge extent, but this year will be about how Giddey and Shea play together. This will be the storyline of the season. If the two
no doubt
struggle on the court, there will be talks, and there will be questions like Raptor fans claiming SGA is upset because he's not on down to dunk intro and stuff like that for the entire season. This is going to be, I stole this from the YouTube chat. Gray Babe just posted this one. But it's going to be about them. They are the player that will mostly surely define the season of OKC. If both Giddey and Shea have leaped this season, then this team will be already extremely fun. So I think that this is the storyline of the season. For preseason, though, I don't think that we will see much of it. I mean, they will play probably sparse minute, and it will be about others. But hey, this is the big storyline for me.
Yeah, I think that's really good stuff. And then looking at the preseason schedule, October 3rd is in Denver. So they play at 8 o'clock Central on October 3rd will be the first time that we'll see this team. October 5th is in Tulsa against the Mavericks, which should be fun. And then in OKC on October 6th at 7 p.m., they play the Adelaide 36ers, which is fun. That's fun. And then they play Maccabi Ra'anana. I don't know how to say that.
Me neither.
On October 9th in OKC, and then they finish the preseason in Detroit and then at San Antonio. October 13th will be the last preseason game. So it's coming just around the corner. Another thing before we jump into voicemail Mondays, actually a couple things. One, I co-wrote a piece with Zach Harper about the Thunder on The Athletic today, just talking about burning questions about the Thunder. So go check that out at theathletic.com. You can go to theathletic.com/down-to-dunk and get The Athletic for $1 a month for 6 months. So it's a no-brainer. So it's $1. You won't even notice that $1's gone. And you'll get some added benefits as well. You can listen to this podcast ad-free on the Athletic app. You can also listen to all the Athletic podcasts, including Saturday Slam and Jam and the other podcasts we have for $1 a month for 6 months ad-free. And then read all the great content. If you're in the NFL, tons of that. College football, there's a bunch of stuff there as well. So you can also read this piece on The Athletic from Shams Charania he wrote about the new collective bargaining agreement, which feels like it's going to get done. I mean, as soon as January, December, and we won't even have to sweat. And it's all because of money. Everybody's making money. Everybody's fat and happy when it comes to the NBA. So no one wants to stop the gravy train, and it won't stop. And one of the things that they're talking about is draft age eligibility, moving from 19 to 18. This will trigger something that Alex Spears has been very excited about for a long time, and that's the double draft, which would likely be in 2024. Now, how that applies to the Thunder, one, it's not impossible. They're still in the lottery in the summer of 2024. So that
Mhm.
would be helpful to them then. And then also they have the Rockets top 4 protected pick in 2024. Now, what double draft means is this. Let's use the draft of 2021 as an example. This is what I put on Twitter. So everyone that's eligible for the draft, which would have been Cade, Mobley, Josh Giddey, all those guys, Herb Jones, everybody eligible for that draft is in that draft. Plus anyone that's 18 and eligible for the following year could enter that draft without going to college or G League or wherever else they could play over in Europe, wherever else they would play. So that would have meant that you have Paolo, Chet, Jabari, instead of entering college, they could have been in that 21 draft, which would have, that's the way you have to think about it. That's why it's called the double draft. Is like you get these likely top tier players. Like I'm sure if you're Paolo or Chet or Jabari and you have all this talent and you could just go make money right away. Like, you mean I can go make $7 million next year? Yeah, I'll do that. I'll do that instead. Yeah. Even a player like Darius Baisley, who didn't have a ton of interest in going to college. He went and did the New Balance thing and wanted to do something different. He may have been drafted in like the late 20s if he'd have just put his name in the year prior. So it's also guys like that where it's we'll take a flyer on somebody late in the first round that's 18 years old. Now it's difficult because you just have less information. I think it's good for players, but I mean, we're seeing right now in a pretty terrible situation. We have Imani Bates, who was just arrested, and this guy was supposed to be like the next LeBron. I mean, this was the guy that everyone thought like, oh, okay, everybody is, not, wanting to tank the year where Imani Bates will be in the draft. Well, who knows what will happen with Imani Bates when, he's draft eligible this next year, but like, where is he going to even enter the draft? Is anybody going to even want to draft him? I mean, you just don't know. So there's examples all over the map with this one. Like Gerald Green was a guy who was drafted right out of high school, was supposed to go to Oklahoma State. My freshman year, should have been there. Anyways, he gets drafted. He should have gone to college. I think that it might have done him some good to go to college. Kobe Bryant drafted 13th. Came right out of high school. If he went, it would have, he could have gone number one. Like if he went to Duke, I think that people would have gone insane for Kobe Bryant.
Yeah.
Would have gone number one in the next draft. Kevin Garnett also fell. I think he was like 7th or 8th in the draft. Probably should have been the first pick in the draft. And then like you have the Kwame Browns and Tyson Chandlers of the world that it's like, oh man, drafted super high in the draft, had a ton of potential, but didn't ever actualize it. You just don't know what you're getting when it comes to drafting high school players. So I think it's
or underaged, like not even when you see them 1 year, like Scoot Anderson. Like, what is our read on him?
Oh yeah,
like take that as an example.
But like, go look at Scoot's stats and then tell me that you think that that's a great player. It's like we still need to see some more.
Yeah, exactly. So it will be a lot of, hey, And again, G League offers you already a pretty informative series of data points to have like to have models that can be based on. Like high school and prep schools are not like that.
Mm-hmm.
So even with a guy like that you are projecting right now as the number 1-2 player of next year, take the last draft. Where do you draft him? Before or after Jaden Ivey? Probably before, but hey,
Probably.
it's dicey there. And in a different draft, in a
Yeah.
more stacked draft, like with Cade, Scotty Barnes, where does he land?
I know.
Is he number 5, number 6? Like it's extremely difficult, and these will add like probably a competitive advantage to some of the front office. It will be extremely important to have a support system because you need to prepare athlete, but also prepare person at their jobs and whatnot. So it's going to be a different investment, a bigger investment. Probably the G League will help, but hey, this is again adding more talent for 1 year and then adding way more work in the following years.
Yeah, I know. You hope that by that time the Thunder are on the up and up and the Rockets are still trying to figure it out. Like that's ideal. The Rockets could take a leap as soon as this year, and you're like, oh, okay, like this pick is going to be in the teens. And even so, you get the double draft in the teens. It's pretty good. Like you're still good to go. So that is really an interesting piece of this. And then the downside of the double draft is you get to 2025 and it's like, oh, where's the talent? The talent is not going to be there quite as much with that year. So, but 2024 should be pretty crazy. But 25, 24 is going to set the bar pretty high, whereas 25 will not be as good. Alex Bowler-Jack say I look like a history teacher. Thank you. I used to be a high school teacher back in the day. So, I just can't shake that look, I guess. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about before we dive into some voicemails for Voicemail Monday?
No, let's get into that.
Let's do it. Here's our first caller.
What is up, Andrew? Mikey, I hope you're doing very well. I was curious who, for both of you, was your favorite player growing up? And if there's anyone, who the closest person might be in today's NBA who's similar to your favorite player growing up. Hope it's a great Monday and have a fantastic week. See you guys.
Favorite player, McKelly?
So as probably the old listeners know, I started with basketball very late. So when I was young, like really young, like primary school or middle school, I was not into basketball at all. My infatuation with basketball was around 16 years old, 16, 17, when Italy played the Olympics against Manu Ginobili. And there was a player that played for Italy. His name is Gianluca Basile, who was just the best gunner ever. Like he was taking just insane and stupid three-point shots and making all of them. I was like in love with the three ball, and so I don't know. In modern NBA, we're probably one of the two, Splash Brother. Like Gianluca was taking shots from half court in like actual basketball competition. So, and I mean, in a game against Lithuania, I think, which was much better than Italy that year, he was just insane. Just heat check after heat check. And so that kind of player still, this is probably why I love Trey Mann, because he's kind of the gunner. So yeah, that kind of crazy three-point shooter, it's still my thing.
Yeah. Shaq was my favorite player growing up. You can see right here, there's 3 little Shaq figurines right behind my head. Lots of Shaq stuff. I have a signed Shaq jersey here just to the left of me as well. So huge Shaq guy. And as far as like no one's like Shaq, but if anybody was like Shaq, it's like giant Giannis. Like, I don't know. You know?
By the way, talking about Shaq, I think I was listening to a podcast. I don't remember which one, and they were picking 3-against-3 players, and I think that nobody picked Shaq. I said, in a 3-against-3, like you just have to give him the ball.
Well, and Shaq was a good passer, so
Yeah.
you
Yeah,
double
but why passing the ball? Like 3-against-3. I mean, come on. Like 2 are not enough. Like to guard him. So
Yeah. I mean, we talk about like, Chet is not going to be able to handle anybody, at the center position. Like Chet can handle most guys at the center position to a degree in the NBA.
yeah,
You put Chet against Shaq though, then it's like a legitimate, like, yeah, Chet's going to die,
Yeah.
like it's not going to work at all. But there's nobody like him. The thing is, when guys are that big, they're not nimble enough to play the game. Where Shaq,
maybe Zion.
Zion was the other one that I thought of. I just need to see more of him,
Yeah.
because he's not been like. I mean, he's been very good when he's played, but just to think of like dominance in the paint. I mean, it's really like Giannis.
Yeah.
There's not really anybody else like that. So, all right. Next question is about the Thunder being competitive.
Hey guys, when the Thunder do make their playoff arrival, what year is it, and what are your predictions for the rest of the Western Conference playoff standings? Thanks.
Shall we do it draft like you did for the Athletic NBA show? Like where we pick one team. Well, first we have to settle the year.
Yeah.
And then we kind of pick who we think will be there with the Thunder.
Yeah. I think it's like arriving, like making the playoffs and like not being a top 6 seed. I would say 25, 26 is what I would predict.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think they'll be in the playoffs or the play-in in 23. 24, I will probably predict that they'll be in the 7 to 10 range.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that if everything goes well, they could be in like the 6 seed, 5, 6 seed range in going into 25, 26. If you're making like these stair-step progressions, like things could go horribly wrong where they're still in the lottery, or things could go very well where like Shea is like super good and Chet comes back and he's completely healthy and they add, a big wing in this next draft. And it's like, holy smokes, like look what the Thunder have. And then you get to the 24 draft, and it's like double draft. They get the 8th pick because the Rockets still stink, and they get their own pick in the 20s. And it's like, man, then they package those two and get Zion. And then like now they're just the best team in the league. I don't know. Like you can go to weird fantasy lands on both ends. But I would say if you're just thinking normal progression of an NBA team, I would say 25, 26.
No, that's too late. That is Shea's 4th year in this contract.
Well, hold on. 23, 24. Yeah, I think it's 24, 20. Maybe it's 24, 25 that I'm talking about.
That seems like a fair. I agree with this progression. Like this year, still being between probably 13 and 10th in terms of record. I think that they have a chance to be in the play-in if something crazy happens. But this is like a borderline event. 23, 24, I think they can be between 10 and 7. And then 24, 25, I think it's the year when they should be, if their build goes well, they should be there.
Yeah, I think so too. And then teams that will be there, like the Nuggets are going to be really good then still.
And just pick one. Then it's me. Like, come on.
I'll go Nuggets, number 1 seed. Jokic will be like 30, I think. Jamal Murray will be 28. Like they're going to be. You think the Nuggets are good now? I think that these next few years, the Nuggets have a chance to like really, really be legitimate. So yeah, I'll go Nuggets, number 1.
I'm not sure I agree because I think that they are too much. They are reliant on Jokic too much. If he goes, they are just nothing.
Well, I think Jamal Murray is really good, and he's back. You're not a believer.
No, I'm not. Like, I believe in Jokic. I believe that any team with Jokic will make the playoffs. I just don't trust the organization enough. They can be the next Utah.
It's very possible. Tim Connolly did leave to go to Minnesota.
Yeah.
We don't know a lot about what Calvin Booth is going to be as a general manager long term. Where with Connolly, like, honestly, we should have talked more about the Timberwolves on Saturday for Saturday's show, just because, like, man, like they got one of the better GMs now in the league, and he's already done a really good job putting role players around that Timberwolves squad. So, but yeah, I don't know. I still think Jokic is going to be one of the best players in the league. He's not dependent on athleticism. I think he's going to be amazing. And if Jamal Murray and MPJ are healthy, I think that we're talking about like a team that's really, really good.
So, yeah, no, I agree. If they stick together, right. I'm not betting on that. I'm betting that Jokic leaves and goes somewhere else. But that is, that is my entire point. Like, I'm not sure they can keep Jokic there.
Okay.
If they start crumbling.
You're saying that he's playing next to Chet?
Possibly. I would probably pick, and I'll pick two in a row. Memphis.
Yeah.
And because I will pick the Timberwolves. I think that these two teams will be there. I'm not sure if they are going to be 2 and 3, but I think they will be in the picture somewhere. With with Memphis being the most dangerous one, and Mini being there. I don't think that the experiment with Towns, Gobert, and Edwards will fail quickly. I'm not sure how much high they can go, but hey, they can be pretty convincingly in the playoffs.
Yeah. Next pick, I'll go with the Pelicans. I like what they're building. I like their coach. I like if Zion is healthy, I think that they're here. I think they're at the top of the West. Now it's a big one because I think that they could be a team that ends up being pretty mediocre if Zion isn't good. I know there's a lot of really good vibes around the Pelicans right now because of what they did in the playoffs, because of, it felt a lot like the 2010 Thunder, where at the end of the season, everybody stands up and gives them a standing ovation after losing in round one. Like, it feels a lot like that. But they basically had their Durant sitting out all season. And can he become the player that everyone thinks he can? Is he in good enough shape? Will Guillory did a piece on The Athletic that you should go read about Zion looking like a different player physically. So if he can be that, there's like no reason to believe that the Pelicans aren't one of the best teams in the league. Now, this is also a guy that could be headed somewhere else eventually if things don't go well. You talked about Jokic maybe being gone. There's already been chatter about him wanting to play for the Knicks.
Yeah.
Does he end up with the Knicks? I would say no, just because the Knicks, nothing good happens to the Knicks. But he could end up somewhere else. And so there's a question mark there. But if this team remains intact, BI develops a little bit more, because BI is still really young. So if he takes another leap with Zion, I like the cast of characters they have around those guys. You have CJ McCollum as like the leader of this team. I mean, just like, why not?
Yeah, I think that we are wrong because we picked all the 3 teams that are likely to be moved to the Eastern Conference when the merge happens.
They'll just move one.
Yeah, so at least one we got wrong.
Minnesota or Memphis are like the 2 teams that are likely to be there. Yeah.
Yeah, I picked them both.
That'll be really weird. Who else do you think will be there? I think the Lakers will be long gone by then. I think the Clippers could be out by then too, which would be great for the Thunder, because we talked about the 26 pick on Friday, where it's like, holy smokes.
Yeah, it's early for them to be completely out, but I don't think that this iteration of the Clippers will be. I think they have some card to play. Like, they can move their picks around, try to do another try with Ty Lue. They have a good coach.
They have a great coach. They have a lot of competent players. A lot of them.
That you can move, and get maybe, in 2 years, they can move 2 picks if they ask the Thunder to amend one of the protection or do something like that, move the pick around. So I think that the Clippers will be there to some degree, and I think also Phoenix will be there.
Yeah, Phoenix will be there too. I'm not a big believer in the Blazers. The Jazz will obviously be bad. The Warriors are question mark.
Yeah.
What do we think about them 2 years from now? How good is? I mean, it's really just all about how good is Steph in 2 seasons. They could very well be.
It's season 3 from now, so it's
yeah. It's still possible though.
Yeah,
that he's still one of the best 5 players in the league. Then, so it's going to be tough at the West. The West is going to be tough, and that's just not accounting for who gets the top of this next draft, and does that player really if Victor Wembanyama goes to the Rockets, and Jalen Green takes a leap, and Victor is the guy that everybody thinks that he is.
He just dropped 34 the other day, randomly.
I know, I saw that. So if he's the guy that everybody thinks he is, that could vault them there. We just don't know. It's just so hard to predict. But I still think the Thunder are going to have a good chance to be in this competitive group that we're talking about heading into this particular season. But it's it still takes a little bit of imagination to get there, because the West is just so freaking tough. It's just impossible. Okay. Next question.
Hey, Andrew. Hey, McKelly. Siamese Dog here. Just wanted to know, excluding Sam Presti, who would you say is the number 1 GM for the past 5 to 10 years? Just curious who you think has done a phenomenal job. As a GM, I know we have Sam Presti that we all love, but just your thoughts on who else you think has been doing pretty well. Good job. Thank you, guys. Love the show. Bye.
Shall we do a first All-NBA GM ranking?
Yeah.
Top 5?
Yeah, we can definitely do that.
Top 5 power rankings.
Andy Ellisberg with the Heat has done such a good job. He and Pat Riley.
Yeah.
President of basketball ops. Man, he's really good. Now he has a huge competitive advantage having a team in Miami, but he's also drafted Tyler Hero and Bam Adebayo both late in the lottery. They've made those picks count, and then they always find guys. Not only do they lure free agents like Jimmy Butler, who wasn't really a free agent, but just demanded to go there. They didn't have the space. They ended up making an incredible trade to bring him in because he wanted to go there. But they just continue to bring in players that just how do they get these guys? How do they always find the right guys? And I don't think they have a G League affiliate right there with them. It's not like there's a Miami G League affiliate in town. But they find the Caleb Martins of the world, and Duncan Robinson is obviously a guy. Max Strus, who was really good for them last year. Omer Yurtseven, who played well. He's, could have been on the Thunder, but they just continue to not only have a great, market with a good team, but they continue to just find these guys on the fringes and just continue to be a good team. So I'll say Ellisberg to me is one of the best. He doesn't get talked about a ton.
Yeah. It's all Pat Riley. Pat Riley has
Riley's
face, the name, the everything.
Yes.
And it's also
to me, he's the guy.
Yeah. They are so creative with cap minutia and stuff like that. They have I think that they are probably the best combo between team, coaching and in general in front office, because they are so aligned. You can see that because they can extract a lot of values for the players they pick. And those players, they may not work in the same way elsewhere. So they are they're special, and I think that they deserve credit for that. I think that my first pick will be Masai. I think that he has done tremendous work in terms of being able to take risks, to do trades that like other guys punted on. I think that it's easy now to say, hey, wow, he got Kawhi with that trade. It was easy. No, it wasn't. He was the only one to pull it off. I think that he built a culture in Toronto, which is important. And Toronto is relevant. He had 1 year where he had to fight everything in the COVID year, and 1 year removed from that, Toronto is still back on track. He drafted extremely well, and he also find players like Fred VanVleet on the margin. So it's just one of the best. And even in Denver before the Toronto job, he put up one of the best Denver teams over the past decade. So.
MSI has a guy, Bobby Webster, who's like, his title is general manager. I think that Masai is like president of basketball ops. It's all kind of all the same, basically. But Bobby Webster's like super good, and he's like crazy. He's really young. I mean, he's our age.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw him I'd heard his name a bunch, and I don't think I'd ever seen him in person, but you just see him in person. It's like, oh, that's just like some regular looking dude. You know, he's just like this young looking guy. But like Bobby's like a really big part of what they do. So like, yeah, that team I think is a really good one. The Grizzlies, obviously, Zach Kleiman is their general manager. The Grizzlies have done just an outstanding job with the way that they build their team. They draft very well. They got really, really lucky and got the number 2 pick, which you would prefer to the number 1 pick just because you get Ja Morant. And that changes your entire trajectory. That changes your entire franchise. And that's great. There are a lot of teams that could have just drafted Ja Morant, but wouldn't have done what the Grizzlies have done from there. And it's like, just do such an incredible job drafting the rest of their team. Where, I mean, Desmond Bane at the end of the first round is going to haunt a ton of teams.
Oh, yeah. And even like last year with his Zaire Smith pick, I said, what is this trade? Like, Memphis did terribly. And then, I mean, in the end, a year after, I said, that trade was much, much better than I thought. Like, yeah, so maybe the goal was to draft someone else, maybe Giddy. There were rumors about that.
Yeah, I think that's legit, but they've done pretty darn well. I mean, here are the guys drafted before Desmond Bane in 2020. So there's Tyrese Maxey was picked 21st, and then between Maxey and Bane, Zeke Naji, Leandro Bomero, RJ Hampton, Emmanuel Quickley, Peyton Pritchard, Udoka Azubuike, Jaden McDaniels, Malachi Flynn, and then Desmond Bane. And Bane, man, I think there's a big season coming from Desmond Bane this year. And just to get that guy at 30, I mean, this past year, I don't know if people even know like how good his stats were. 18 points, 4 boards, almost 3 assists per game, only 1 turnover per game. Shooting 46, 43, 90 from the field.
That's insane.
I mean, he shot 7 threes a game, 43%. And he, you know what he is for his career in 2 seasons? 43.5% from 3.
Yeah, that's insane. And you can probably justify Jaden McDaniels. I think that a lot of teams would say, hey, he had a ton of upside, and so I can get there. There were like reasons not to draft him higher because of his behavior and the results. But hey, you can say okay, but the others, I mean, that is.
I like Peyton Pritchard, but
it's different.
Azubuike is like probably the worst, in the 20s first round pick in a long time. That's just a really bad one. That guy is not any good. He was a senior that year, by the way.
Yeah, and if you draft Pritchard, like, why?
Yeah, I know. And
It's
then
the same type of player. Like maybe Pritchard had a little bit more of ball handling and whatnot, but like short arms, not physical enough, allegedly. And yeah,
both were seniors. Pritchard was
Yeah.
actually like 5 or 6 months older than Bane.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, that one, there's a lot of teams that are kicking themselves for that one. But yeah. Yeah, I think the whole Grizzlies front office has done just a phenomenal job. Not only getting lucky, but just doing what they do in the draft. I'm really, really curious to see how this last draft turns out for them, because they drafted getting Laravia, David Roddy in the first round. Like, I like Laravia a lot. I don't know how much I like him at 19. Roddy, he's a thick daddy. I don't know how good he's going to be in the league.
We'll see.
He's got no breaks, like that's just like one of the interesting about him.
No, I think that we should mention very briefly Connolly, that we already discussed. I think that Ainge is someone that when you have to collect picks and to just replenish, maybe he's the guy for you. I'm sure when you have to push the pedal. And I want to praise the front office of the Clippers in general. They have done a remarkable work, because yes, you can say that they paid a lot for Paul George and Kawhi, but that is the risk that you have to take if you're there. Because if they work out for one season, then Shea can be great. I mean, those picks can be maybe two can be very high level picks, but if you bring a title in Los Angeles, not with a purple and gold, he did something that will be celebrated for years, probably. So
yeah, they've done a great job, and they just hired maybe the best coach in the NBA too.
Yeah,
I mean, you think about this. Last season, they got 0 games from Kawhi and only 31 games from Paul George, and they still won 42 games.
Yeah, it's insane.
That should have. I mean, we celebrate the 12th pick, and should, because it got them J-Dub. We don't know how good he's going to be, but there's a lot of high hopes for him. That should have been like the 7th pick. If they had just your run-of-the-mill coach, I think that they would have won, 30 games.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because I mean, the rest of their rosters, like, they've got like guys that people know, but yikes on the rest of the roster. I mean, you look at the top minutes played for them: Reggie Jackson, Terrence Mann, Luke Kennard, Zubac, Amir Coffey played the 5th most minutes on that team last year. Amir Coffey. If you can pick Amir Coffey out of a lineup and you're a Thunder fan, 1, you're a complete NBA psycho. 2, there's like 5 of you that could. You know?
And put that same unit in the previous iteration of Detroit or the current iteration of the Hornets. Yeah. This is just the number 2, 3 pick. In reverse order, they will be just in the top 5. Yeah. Like, granted.
Yep, that's exactly right. All right. Next question is about Trey Mann, J-Dub, JRE.
Hey, Andrew and McKelly. It's John here. Hope you guys both had a good weekend. So my question for you is, let's say one of Jerry, Trey Mann, or J-Dub far exceeds expectations this season. Who would become most valuable to the team long term? And then the bonus question for you guys would be, what is your deep cut for the thing that you are most looking forward to on the team this season? Thanks so much for always delivering excellent content. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
So who would, if they were to surprise, would provide the most value? To me, it's really between J-Dub and Trey Mann, just because they can provide scoring in a way that Jeremiah likely won't. I think Jeremiah has some good upside, but to pretend that just because he's 6'8" and probably plays center, it doesn't mean that everybody that's 6'8" and plays center is Draymond Green. That's probably like an unfair comp for anybody, just because he's seriously one of a kind. He's even mentioned that he wants to play like Draymond. He practices with Draymond in the offseason. It's great.
Great.
I'd love for him to be that guy. Counting on him to be that guy is like counting on any big white center that can pass decently to be Jokic. It's like, all right, probably not going to happen.
Yeah.
I think Jeremiah will be a solid player, but I'm not sure about the upside there. So it's really just between like Trey Mann being like the human torch, or J-Dub being able to score at an efficient clip, but being able to play all over the court. That's why I think it's J-Dub, because like he can provide value from 1 to 4, and can just fit in any lineup, can be a ball handler, can be a scorer, can spot up, can just do everything that you would want from a player, surrounding guys like Giddey and Shea. And that's what we need. That's what the Thunder needs so badly. It's just somebody that the defense cares about, which might be why you would pick Trey Mann too. But I'll go J-Dub.
Allow me to be extremely heretic, probably lunatic. If everything goes extremely well, like saying that J-Dub reaches the absolute peak of his ceiling, is it completely absurd to see him being like a player that can play like Iguodala on a very good team?
No, I don't think that's crazy at all.
It is crazy to ask him to be that is not sustainable. But say that everything goes extremely well
in the lottery. He wasn't the 18th pick. He's not the 20th pick in the draft.
Yeah.
This is a guy picked in the lottery. He was picked in the same range as like Donovan Mitchell and Devin Booker and players like that. So Iguodala isn't even like, that's not like even shooting for the stars. Like Iguodala is a good player, but he's still like,
he was an all-star multiple times.
Yeah, but is he
MVP of the finals?
I'm aware. I think you could,
if that happens, that will be,
you can get crazier though.
Like, okay, then it's okay.
A better player than Iguodala. Like yes,
okay.
Like he definitely is. Like is Donovan Mitchell a more valuable player than Iguodala?
In general, yes.
So I mean,
occasionally, no.
You could, occasionally, You could go a little crazier even than Andre.
Okay, then I think that a player like that would probably be impactful on a great team. Like I can see him being a player that can make a team function to an extremely high level, especially if the shooting pans out, because the passing is there, the defense, I don't know. So I can see why he can be valuable. Trey Mann can be valuable in a completely different way. He can be that player who comes off the bench and you just, when he's on the court, you just don't know what happens. And you just have to completely change your game plan because he can like be the guy who scores. Again, this is not saying that he can be Manu Ginobili because he's a completely different player. But when Manu came on the court, everything changed. Like he was playing at a different pace, in a different way compared to the standard team. I think that Trey Mann, in his own way, if everything pans out, can be a player that comes off the bench and you suddenly have to account for him big time. Because if you leave him, if you let him go into a groove, he can change a game. Now, which one is more valuable if everything pans out? Probably J-Dub will be the steadier pick.
Just because like size alone, a big factor in the league. It is tough to be 6'2", is what I mean. Trey Mann's like 6'2", 6'3", and skinny.
Really?
I think he's 6'3". I know he's measured at 6'5".
6'3" without shoes.
I think he's 6'3" with shoes. I don't buy 6'5".
That is something that you have to ask at training camp. Now you have to.
I don't buy. Yeah, that's true. I do need to ask him. I don't buy the 6'5" measurement. Like stand next to him. That's like I don't. Yeah, it could be the hair. I don't buy 6'5" with him. He didn't play.
Let's say 6'4".
He didn't play like 6'5" because J-Dub is 6'6". He also has bigger. A lot longer. He's bigger. He's got longer arms. He's got So.
Yeah, but like I think that J-Dub can be a player where you didn't have. He may be a player like if he's a player that you have to account at all times. Plus, he's a glue guy. then he will be a game changer.
Yeah.
With Trey Mann, when he's hot, it's magnetic. Like the entire team needs to focus on him in order to do something.
Yeah.
And if that part is real, like, boy.
Yeah. Andre Iguodala made one All-Star team.
Just one?
Just one.
In Philly.
He was 28 years old. The year that he made the All-Star team, he was averaging 12 points, 6 boards, and 5 assists. 12, 6, and 5. Isn't that kind of weird? Because
it is weird. I thought he was more of a scorer in Philly that year.
So when he was 24, he averaged 25 and 5, 19.9, 5, and 4.8.
Oh,
is what he was. His first season with Golden State. Here are his averages. This is kind of wild.
Oh, I know that those are not good.
9 points, 4 boards, 4 assists.
Yeah,
but was a game changer. I mean, the Warriors don't become the Warriors without Dre.
Would you be happy for a career like that, even without the accolades, but number-wise for J-Dub?
Yeah, I think so. If like in the early years he is able to score a bunch, but then once the team gets really good, he's just like the ultimate glue guy, which is what Iguodala was. He defended the best player on the opposing team. Yeah, I totally think so. I think that's, I mean, career average is 11, 4, and 4.
Yeah, it's not that bad. I think that he can be a player like that. Maybe a little bit better. I don't know. If you adjust for pace, that stat line looks a little bit better because that is probably on a pace that is around 98, 99. Now it's more than to put at least 10% more, which is more like 13, 5, and 5, which is a very good stat line.
Yeah. Yeah, I would. Yeah, because in Miami, like he's averaging like 4 points and 3 boards, 2 assists per game. Like in Golden State, I mean, you have to also account for like the latter years, but his years in Philly, 15, 5, and 5. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
I think if everything worked out, I think that's really pretty close to what you think J-Dub could be if everything goes really well for him.
Isn't it insane that Shea is 25, 5, and 5?
It's
pretty insane.
It's crazy. I put out a list the other day of all the players that scored at least 24, 5, and 5 last season. It's a pretty exclusive list. I think that I listed it on the Dream Team show, but I'll list it here now. Jokic, Giannis, KD, Steph Curry, Doncic, LeBron, Ja, Paul George, SGA. That's 9 players. That's it. Nobody else did it last year.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, 15, 5, and 5 would be, I think that the Thunder will be
5 assists will be the tough one to get to on this team in particular, because with the Warriors, it was like Steph just running around everywhere. Clay's running around everywhere. You know, Draymond and Dre and Andre Iguodala had a lot of passing to do with those two. With the Thunder, it's going to be like the opposite, where, you know, Giddey's going to have the ball a ton and Shea's going to have the ball a ton. I'm not sure that J-Dub's going to have the opportunity to get up to 5 assists per game. You know,
maybe that is a little bit high.
Looks closer like 15, 5, and 3. You know,
or 6 and 3, something like that. He can be a good rebounder.
Yeah, I think so too. But yeah, I think there's a lot to be excited about for him. You know, I know a lot of Thunder fans are already, but yeah, it's very interesting. And then, I mean, we have Jang was not a part of this question, but you know,
Jang is in the Poku stratosphere. He can be anything.
He can be anything. Who knows? Use your imagination. He could be that, or be negative as you want to be. He could be that too. Okay. I think there was another question in there, but I don't remember what it was. And I apologize, and maybe I'll answer it for you on Twitter here in a little bit.
It was something like, I think we already answered that at the beginning, or I just didn't get the part of the question where it was something peculiar that we expect, maybe something like that.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. We talked about it. Yeah, deep cut. My deep cut prediction. I think Aaron Wiggins is going to be super good.
Don't steal this one from me. I'm driving the Wiggins, even starting Wiggins
It's
Like-
not out of the question. I don't think it's out of the question. I think
neither.
I think the world of that guy as a person and as a player. I think that he's super good. He was one of the most steady guys in summer league, and that's like, yeah, who cares, whatever, summer league. But still, it's a thing. It's a thing that
Yeah.
happened. I actually have to go. I don't have time to answer another one. Maybe I can answer these other two in some other form or fashion. But we will have another podcast for you on Wednesday with Alex Spears. We'll be talking about. We might have to pause Summers of Sam because we have like real content coming. We're actually going to talk a little bit about press conferences from Sam Presti all the way back to 07 and just kind of like looking at like what does Sam's leadership look like through the years. We're also going to look at what his leadership looked like after Durant left. Like, what did he say? What did he do? How did he steer the ship, during times like that? So I thought it would be interesting to go back and look at those. So we'll be doing that on Wednesday. I hope you guys have a wonderful, wonderful Monday. We'll talk to you guys again on Wednesday.